because if you stop training, your gains will go down and down and down. Ladies and gentlemen of the Action Army, what is going on? And welcome to another episode of Answers for Athletes. In today's video, we have a question from RSHB Athleticism, who says, question, Coach Nate, if I don't train these qualities, how long does it take for hypertrophy, strength, power, speed, and conditioning gains? How long does that last before it gradually diminishes? I have a great answer for you. But before I give you that answer, make sure that you comment JUMP, J-U-M-P, down below in the comment section for a free bodyweight vertical jump training program. And if you want my advanced training programs with weights, stop playing with your gains. Get my programs. But let me answer the question. If you don't train these qualities, how long does it take before hypertrophy, strength, cardiovascular endurance, power, speed, explosiveness, etc., how long does it take before those gradually diminish? Because if you stop training, your gains will go down and down and down. Or let's say you're in a strength cycle and then you go to a power phase and then a peaking phase. How long is it going to take? Are those strength gains that you made in the strength phase, are those going to gradually diminish as you're in the power and the speed phase? Of course they are. So how long does it take and what do we do about it? I'm going to use the help of Triphasic Training by Cal Dietz because I think he has a good table, a good chart in the book, and I will actually put the chart on the video screen for you. But it says table 2.4, the duration of residual training effects for different motor abilities. So we have the motor ability category, we have the residual training effects, the days, and then we have the physiological background. So let's start first. Anaerobic endurance. Okay, this would be like cardiovascular endurance. So if you improve your cardiovascular endurance and then you stop doing cardiovascular endurance training, how long does it take? He says 30 days plus or minus. So 30 plus or minus 5 days. So it could be 25 days all the way up to 35 days. And guys, I do want you to know that this isn't set in stone. This is his table. But I think this gets us pretty close. If you ask, let's say, Dr. Andy Galpin, or you ask another scientist or another trainer, they may have something a little bit different, but I do think that this gets us very close to where we need to be. So aerobic endurance, bro. My cat, every time I start recording videos, bro, my cat just wants in. He's knocking at the door. Come on, bro, hurry up. Here he is. Say hi. Look at him. Say hi to the people since you want to interrupt us. He's like, bro, get off me, dude. All right, so let's get back to it. Aerobic endurance is 30 plus or minus 5 days. So it could be 25 up to 35. Maximal strength, 30 plus or minus 5 days. So you see that if we go through a strength phase, that maximal strength actually lasts a decent amount of time. So maximal strength, we know what that is. That is just if you lift heavy, you improve your maximal strength, your ability to produce force. It's going to last you 30 plus or minus 5 days. Then we get into anaerobic glycolytic endurance. And you might be saying, what the fuck is that? Think about it. Anaerobic endurance as opposed to the first one, which was aerobic endurance. Anaerobic endurance is just the ability to have endurance between like 10 and 90 seconds. Okay, short-term endurance. Think about lifting. Your endurance while you are lifting weights versus your endurance while you are doing cardiovascular activities like running. Okay, so anaerobic endurance, anywhere from like, and I'm kind of making this up, 10 to 90 seconds. I think that's what he says in here, but 10 to 90, normally like for somebody like us, it's going to be like 10 to 30 seconds. It's going to be, power cleans. It's going to be, squats, 30 to 80% of your 1 rep max. It's going to be power type stuff, or even any lifting, any strength training type movements where you are lifting weights or doing vertical jumps, plyometrics, whatever you're going to be doing. Anaerobic endurance, 18 plus or minus 4 days. So not plus or minus 5, plus or minus 4, which I just thought was funny because why 4? Then we have strength endurance, which is 15 plus or minus 5, and then maximal speed plus or minus 3. This is really what I want to talk about. And I know I skated through the rest of that there, but this is what I want to talk about. That's your answer for the question that you asked. This is a great table for you guys to look back to and refer to. Take a screenshot of the screen if you need to on your phone. But here's where we need to add and utilize this in our programming. So if you let's say you do a build the base phase, and most of you watching are probably past your build the base phase. The only way that you're going to do another build the base phase or prep phase is when you come out of season. Let's say you were doing less training, and if you were still training in season, still strength training, which you should have been doing, using microdosing or at least doing a little bit of strength training in season, you might not need to do a build the base phase. But for most of you, post-season, after everything is done, after you're done with your basketball, that is the time where you would do a build the base phase again and kind of introduce yourself back into it before you get into your off-season training. Okay, so let's say we got our build the base phase, or if you're a beginner, obviously, build the base phase, then we work our way up and we get into a strength phase, right? After our strength phase, then we get into our power phase. And after our power phase, we get into our speed phase or our peaking phase. But we don't want to lose those gains from our strength phase. Very simple thing for you to do to maintain strength is just every so often hit a heavy strength training workout. So you have 30 plus or minus 5 days. So let's say you have 25 days. As long as you touch on your strength and you lift heavy and your maximal strength, your ability to produce force within those 25 days, you're going to be good, right? It's not really that big of a deal, I promise you, when it comes to maximal strength. When it comes to maximal speed, on the other end, that is kind of a big deal because we're basketball players and we're trying to jump higher. So plus or minus or 5 days plus or minus 3, let's say you got 8 days in 5, that's 2. This is because that speed requires a lot of mechanics and neural pathways and motor patterns. That is why maximal speed goes away so quickly. It's because if you don't rep out that skill over and over and over and frequently, this is why it can diminish more quickly than maximal strength. So what I need you guys to do in a good way to combat this is just always have some maximal speed in your programming. So this could be vertical jumps, this could be plyometrics, this could be sprints. But I think most of you at this point, I think you do have some maximal speed in your programming most of the time. So even when you're in a strength phase, you can't just completely neglect your plyometrics. You have to understand what you're trying to do here. We're trying to jump higher. We're trying to have a more explosive first step. We're trying to become better basketball and volleyball players or whatever other sport you play. Now this dude wants in, bro. Everybody's knocking. Come on, man. There's your answer. This table gives you a good idea of the residual training effects from all different categories of your training and how long those residual training effects will last. Just make sure that when you're in your strength or power phase, you're still touching on speed. When you're in your power phase, you're still touching on strength and speed. When you're in your speed phase, you're still touching a little bit on strength and power. That is the most important thing that I want you to get from this video. And you could do that by once every 4 or 5 workouts, just add in one of those parameters like maximal strength that you're not in that phase. So if you're in a speed phase, a good way to maintain your strength is once every 4 to 5 workouts, hit a heavy lift. If you're in your if you're in your strength phase, you have to understand that speed gains diminish more quickly. So you should still be hitting some plyometrics or some speed-based velocity training every single week. There's your answer. Leave your question down below if you want me to answer your question in a video just like this. Comment jump for that free vertical jump training program and stop playing with your gains. Get my programs, and I will see you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.